is going to be the last presentation of all the innovation which I found at the ISSAInterclean. It's the last day, so I already have to get used to it. I am from outside the industry. My name is Vincent Everts, I'm a trend watcher. I know nothing about your industry. I know nothing about the cleaning industry. I do know a lot about technology. And I basically went through the eyes of the outside world where everybody's looking at cloud software, Internet of Things, robots, artificial intelligence, drones, and all the technical stuff which is there, and to see what is happening in smart cleaning. Because this industry will change dramatically in the next 10 years. You go in the direction of smart cleaning. With a lot less people, you do a much better work because you're going to work much more intelligent. And I basically investigated how is here all kinds of new technology used and how does it compare to other industries. And I used a number of industries to compare it with. For the beginning, I used my kids, because if I look at how I use new technology, I basically looked at home computers, PCs, Apples, and all kinds of software platforms. Would people remember that kind of old stuff? WordPerfect, in the past, 25 years, no innovation after that, and then Google Docs came. And if I compare it to my kid, who's 2 years old, how do they work with new technology? And I asked her, what do you expect of smart systems? How do you want to be a citizen of the future world? And she basically answered that in 1 minute.
Hi, I'm Abby. I love libraries and books and story time, but I really don't know it. So I'm an online library that I like. That has lots of multimedia. I want everything to be quick and easy. I want to be able to add my own stuff and say other people's stuff. I want to be able to do it from my iPad or my e-book reader. I all messed up content, semantic tagging, real-time information, augmented reality, spatial tagging. I even love interactive touch screens. I know you're all busy working on this, but I'm a digital native and I want it now. Hurry up and get cracking. Okay, bye for now.
So this is what she wants. She wants smart systems which give her freedom to operate, freedom to use her talents, and to give her flexibility. Now, we've created a new school. It's called the Steve Jobs School. It's one of the most innovative schools. Everybody has an iPad, and they can direct their own learning. They can decide what they want to learn, when they want to learn it, and go after their passion. Develop passions and go after that. And that's basically possible because they can select which workshops they want to read, and they're constantly tracked, but they have a lot of freedom. Now, let's compare that with the software they have. They have Khan Academy. They have software which is adaptive, which adapts to their way of learning. It could be video, it could be instruction, it could be people. This is free software where you can learn anything from elementary school to university, and a couple of 100 million people are using it. And it has fantastic dashboards which keep track of all the students on how they're learning and how they're doing compared to the goals of the school. Let's compare that, how we do that in the cleaning industry. How do we help and support our cleaners to give that flexible system and give them freedom, autonomy, and creativity? So what kind of tools do we have for the cleaners? Well, they have a wonderful system that everything is known about them. You basically first have your identity card, and before you start, you have to scan this. Now it knows me, and in every room I go to, I basically say here, look, I'm now going into this meeting room. And I'm working here for a couple of minutes, and then I go to this room, and I go to this room, and I go to this room, and this room, and at the end, I basically put this back into the cradle, and I get 2, and now all the data is into the system, and it knows exactly where I've spent the time. And then there's an app for the controller who basically walks around and says, this part of the room is good, this part of the room is good, this part is not good. And in the end, you have a beautiful report how everybody basically functions. So it's a little bit Big Brother watching you. It doesn't really help you, but it certainly keeps track of everybody. And that's one level. let's control everybody. Let's determine what they do, how they do it. Make them into a human robot and control everything. And that's not very much a humanizing future. That is something I don't think that technology should be used for, but it's that one direction which people are using. My kids are all using augmented reality, virtual reality. They're going everywhere, they're being trained, and they see all kinds of new worlds just simply by using a mobile phone and a Google Cardboard or a $100 Samsung device. And this whole virtual reality is really getting huge. I mean, it started 3-4 years ago, really at the next wave again, when Oculus Rift was designed by a student of 20 years old. 2 years later, it was bought by Facebook for $2 billion. It's now coming to the market, and it's really intense. And this woman is in charge of that $2 billion investment of Facebook. She's deciding how virtual reality will be in your Faceline group, a company, a platform which 1.5 billion people are using every month. And I asked her, what is the vision of virtual reality inside the Facebook world?
Buy the stuff
in 10 years, what will I get? Or 5 years, what will I get in 5 years?
Well, in 10 years, Mark Zuckerberg has a clear vision. 1 billion people in VR in Facebook.
1 billion people will use virtual reality on a regular basis integrated into Facebook experience. The glasses, you won't be able to discover that these glasses, if they're virtual or not, they will go in different modes. There will be different user interfaces. If you look at, for example, these are industrial ways that all this virtual reality is being used. And there's now all kinds of new user interfaces. Not that you have to use buttons, not that you have to use touch screens, but you can basically wave your hands in the air and basically integrate with the computer and communicate with the computer with your hands. And this is a $50 tool which is getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. Also, we have augmented reality which we're using. Next week I'm going to get my new glasses. Some people really said, oh, we're so happy that Google Glass failed. Well, I have an answer for you. Google Glass was just a little tryout, which is going to be much more sophisticated. It was the developing tool. It never came to the market. And this is the first glasses of Microsoft where you look into reality and then suddenly all kinds of things pop up.
Right in his world. Now we also have this custom camera rig over here so that you can see the holograms up on these screens as if the camera is wearing a HoloLens. Now when we introduced Windows Holographic, the globe was just a slide. Today, Darren is experiencing it as a universal Windows app. And guess what? It's running on Windows 10. Welcome to Windows Holographic.
And what you now see here, this is a real world, but all these objects there are virtual. They're projected into space, but they look to you as becoming real world stuff. Now, that's really interesting, and we're using that in the cleaning world because the #1 Amsterdam ISSAInterclean innovation has been won by virtual augmented reality in the cleaning space. The overall innovation winner at the ISSAInterclean was Sealed Air for their augmented reality solution. And let's take a look at the iPad of Mark. Mark, how does it, you basically start the application and the cleaner, and the cleaner wants to know what's happening with this beautiful machine, and it's loading it. The overall innovation winner at the ISSAInterclean was Sealed Air for their augmented reality solution. And let's take a look at the iPad of Mark. Mark, how does it, you basically start the application and the cleaner, and the cleaner wants to know what's happening with this beautiful machine, and it's loading it. And then the interesting thing, it immediately recognizes which machine that is and will start firing a lot of instructions up to you. And you can also walk around and it will keep you, if you can keep the camera out there, it basically tells you exactly how to take it out, how to refill it, and you can make sure that everything is really done on the right way. So augmented reality is used to instruct people and to make them, very consistent in the way they do it. And this basically won the general award, innovation award of ISSA Amsterdam. This was the most innovative thing, according to the jury, in the cleaning industry, and I think it's just absolutely the beginning of how that works. We'll come to, I think, much more interesting examples a little bit further. Now, let me also tell you a non-digital improvement in just the cleaning world. This is my only non-digital innovation, and I think it's interesting because of cross-industry innovation. I'm having here about 1.5 liters of water, and I'm throwing this in this box. And this can be blood, or this can be a very nasty chemical. This can be, and then we have a teeny little piece of, yeah, it's like a diaper. It's from the diaper industry. That's why it's interesting. And I basically throw this in, and this will absorb 1.5 liters of water, blood, very nasty chemicals, and you just basic it up, and it will suck it up completely dry, and it will cost, you know, less than a euro.
If you touch it, it is not as dry on the top. Eh?
Oh, it's dry on the top. Yeah. So this is really.
So really, and if you pick it up now,
yeah,
you see that it is all in the gel and it's not leaking.
Yeah. And look, it's not leaking. It's not leaking. It's not. I can put it in front of the camera. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be afraid. And look, this is completely dry. So it is not cheap. It's €1 to clean this one. But if this is blood or if this is really nasty environment, this is a really great deal. So this was really basic cleaning innovation, which I thought was useful from a perspective from somebody who doesn't come from the cleaning industry. Now, if we look to digital, the cloud is everywhere. We're not installing stuff on our computer, on our smartphones, but we install everything in the cloud, and it's going to be generalized. The cloud was started by a Dutchman. This is Werner Vogel. He's the CTO of Amazon, a tiny little company which does $150 billion in sales, and we can learn something from him. The IT department of Amazon was so bad, he put in 1,000 computers and said to everybody, you can use those as much as you want them. Now he has 250,000 computers, and he basically does a lot of the computing for the rest of the world. A great book, The Everything Store, where you can read all about him. Now, Amazon, we all know, Bezos, he's the guy who started it. He first tried to sell all kinds of books. That yellow line, the top is 15% of all the books in America. The red line is all the electronic books. And it's interesting now, this year, more than 50% of all the books in the United States will be e-books. And that is mainly due to also, here in Holland it's only 10%, we're 2 years behind, because of one book. One book changed in America the whole thing, and that is 50 Shades of Grey. Why? Because women everywhere all over the world read 50 Shades of Grey and thought it was fascinating. But the Dutch women were just reading it in the train, and they wanted to be seen. It was no problem at all. But the American women didn't want to be seen with it, so they immediately run and bought a Kindle. It's really interesting how innovation can start from a certain perspective. What we can learn from Amazon is that you have to pay attention to people. If we look at a website, all your websites, think about your own website at the moment. There will be products, there will be services. That's the blue information. It's talking about specs, talking about prices, talking about inventory. But if you look at an Amazon page, it is a tiny little bit about products, and the rest is word of mouth. It is about reviews, discussion. How do people use it? What do they think about it? Video reviews. There's a lot of talking about what this product means to people. And you can ask yourself, how many pink information, people information do I have, and how many product information? The whole cleaning industry is very much into that upper blue stuff. And it's at the moment, this whole cloud thing is becoming now also a very important source in the cleaning industry. Let's look at the Internet of Clean. The overall winner of the ISSAInterclean the Innovation Award is Sealed Air. And Sealed Air is an interesting company. They do a lot of innovative things. The Internet of Things, everything connected, everything managed in the cloud is basically what these guys are doing. They have a cloud solution, and every device has sensors and basically feeds the information in the cloud, and you can get reports on what's happening, what goes well, what goes wrong, how many meters are cleaned, and that's a general solution. That's the good thing. The not so great thing is that they're very much closed. Only devices from Sealed Air can be managed. It's not that all the other devices will be managed, and that is a little bit of an ecosystem which other companies have more embraced, but it's not so normal in this world. And that's really interesting, because you will wonder, when everything is connected and we basically manage people, rooms, machines and processes in the cloud, who is going to do that? Is that going to be the big market leaders who are big in equipment? Or is that going to be software-driven people? This company, who is really big, has a beautiful platform, but it's extremely closed. And I don't think with closed platform, you cannot manage only your own devices. You have to manage all the devices in the world. You have to be open in terms of innovation. It can't be that one guy picks all. You have to be allowed to do that. So that's really interesting how that works. Then something which I haven't been able to find. Everywhere, all over the world, people talk in the industry about drones. Drones are really interesting. What can drones do for us? Let me give you, again, an example of Amazon.
Firm ground soccer shoes and have them delivered in 30 minutes or less. And in a location not too far away, a miracle of modern technology is dispatched. It's an Amazon drone, and after rising vertically like a helicopter to nearly 400 feet, this amazing hybrid design assumes a horizontal orientation and becomes a streamlined and fast airplane. In time, there'll be a whole family of Amazon drones, different designs for different environments. This one can fly for 15 miles. And it knows what's happening around it. It uses sense and avoid technology to, well, sense and then avoid obstacles on the ground and in the air. Back at the house, you're getting a message on your tablet to say that your Prime Air delivery is arriving. And it goes back to vertical mode and scans the landing area for potential hazards. This amazing innovation then lowers itself slowly to the ground, drops off the package, and flies straight back up to altitude. And moments later, you're walking through the door with a brand new pair of Puma Evo Power firm ground soccer shoes, size 3 for Millie.
Now look, if you look what happens to drones in the industrial industry, it's happening everywhere for observation, critical parts delivery. And it's interesting, in America, 50% of the people can be reached in 15 minutes from the distribution center from Amazon. But in the Netherlands, 95% of the Dutch people can be used in a drone tour of 5 minutes from within a distribution point from the postal service from the Netherlands. In 5 minutes, everybody can be reached, and it will be less than 60 cents to deliver parts to any address in the Netherlands. This thing will happen. This whole industry is not talking about it. So what are they talking about it? What are they giving awards for? Flexible tools for the cleaner. The winner of the Amsterdam Innovation Award is Green Care. And now this is also very much into cleaning. They have a system where you can take it out and you can clean all kinds of different surfaces, but she has a belt with 5 different chemicals, and you can very easily replace one with the other. Maybe you can show us? Yeah. Take one out, and the interesting thing is when you put in something else, it's really easy to get the old residue out. So that's why somebody can walk around, has everything immediately there, and can immediately continue with the next job, and for all kinds of different roles. And this is cradle to cradle, completely green, completely harmless, and they got a nice innovation award for it from Germany. Let's go back to more hardcore development, and that is basically the Internet of Things. At the moment, we have a couple of billion people connected to the internet, a couple of billion devices, and that's going to explode. In 2020, we'll have 50 billion machines connected to the internet, and a couple of billion people, but mostly machines. And that is now because sensors are imploding in price. Everything becomes 100 times cheaper. And what can we do? And how will that help us to become smart in terms of sensoring? Let's set an example. I mean, it's going to explode. If you look, for example, at my home, this is a friend of mine who took everything at his home and connected it to the internet. Of course, he has all the webcams, the energy. Every device in his house is turned on and off, and it's basically locked. Everybody who visits is basically being locked. All the water, all the energy, even the amount of kilos that his kids, his wife, and himself measures is on the internet. This is an example how that can be done, and it really works fantastically. We're slowly going to adapt that as human beings. Of course, we start with a thermostat, and there's going to be the bell is going to be ringing. But for you, it's going to be the industrial internet. And the industrial internet is going to be huge for your business.
The industrial internet. It's a massive revolution in technology. But what is the industrial internet? It all starts with a tiny sensor, or often several thousand of them. attached to a big machine like an aeroplane or a turbine, creating a new class of equipment called brilliant machines. The sensors capture real-time data about all of the machine's different parts. As quickly as it's gathered, the data are wirelessly streamed to the cloud. There, it's sorted and analysed by powerful software. If the software notices something is wrong, like a part is about to break, then it tells a person, yes, an actual person, who can then order a replacement part and schedule when to fix it. The best bit is we know something's wrong before it's broken, rather than having, say, your whole power plant stop working unexpectedly, causing a blackout when everyone would much rather be watching Game of Thrones. The industrial internet is also a system where machines use the internet to talk to each other, to solve problems themselves before they happen. Locomotives use interactive technology to increase fuel efficiency and productivity. An aeroplane in flight can tell the engineers on the ground what will need to be repaired before it's even landed. Scans from an emergency patient can get immediately delivered to specialists to help save lives.
Now, and the sensors, the industrial sensors, were typically 250, 500 euro, etc. They're now dropping back under 150, under 10 and 15 euro. And there's a lot of them. And there's one exciting thing, which is LoRa. Who has heard about LoRa? I know he has heard about LoRa. He's responsible for augmented reality and the Internet of Clean. He just told me it's going to be open, the network is going to be open very soon. But LoRa is the mobile network for the Internet of Things. And it has a couple of interesting characteristics. First, if you have a sensor who basically says, I'm full, I'm empty, this is the temperature, I need cleaning, I've worked so many hours, that kind of information. If that sensor is there, it can work on 2 batteries for 5 to 10 years. So you don't need power from all kinds from the grid. On batteries, it will work for 10 years. So that's very easy. Secondly, to give all that information for a whole year, how am I doing? Am I full or empty? It costs about $4 a year. So for $4 a year, you have a connected device, and then this device itself costs about 10 bucks. And that's before we do millions of millions, it will go down to dollars. So it will be almost impossible for everything more than $100 not to connect it to the internet and not make it smart, and use it for one of the most important things we need to do is figuring out, does this thing need to be cleaned or to be replenished? We only want to do it when it's really necessary, and it will be dirt cheap to get that into our systems. Next thing is beacons. These are also a special form. They're just little tools. They've also worked 5 years on batteries. You put them here, and then you get indoor navigation. The machine or the people know exactly where they are within a couple of meters. Dirt cheap, 10, 15 euros. And we use beacons in the school so we know exactly where the kids are, where do they learn, how many hours do they spend here, how many hours do they spend there. They have lots of freedom, but we know exactly what they're doing, and we're helping them to accomplish their tools. We used a bunch of them at Amsterdam Sail, which was an event where 50 big, huge sailing ships came in Amsterdam, and 2.5 million people were watching. We knew where everybody was, what information they were looking at, and these beacons were extremely cheap. That is going to be coming to the industry, and how we're going to use it so that cleaners can have a humanistic way to work. Let's see at facility apps who are just here around the corner. Evidence-based cleaning. Wouldn't it be nice to know that where was the cleaner, and how well did he clean? How much time did he spend everywhere? And what does he need to clean? Well, that's basically this facility apps. The cleaner gets a list of what he needs to do on this app, and by just walking around, if he gets close to this sensor, this is just in a particular room, we know that he's been in the meeting room. If he basically went to this sensor anywhere near, we know that he also went into the ladies' room. And so by walking around with this app, we know where the cleaner has been and how much time he spends. We also have a people's counter. This basically determines how many people have been in this room and if it needs to be cleaned. And this trash can sensor knows if the trash can is full and if it needs to be cleaned. So we gather data of the Internet of Things. It's being transmitted through LoRa, which is basically a new Internet of Things network, which is very cheap. For €5 per month, we know, per year, we know how full the trash can is. And for the cleaner pays the cost to basically support the cleaner with this management, with this evidence-based cleaning is about €5 per month per cleaner. So it pays itself back. You have very good administration, it's easy for the cleaner, and you know what's going on. And I hope that people will develop software that they take into account that people who clean are not robots, but do need to have choices, do need to have creativity, just like my kids in school, but overall need to be managed so that we know that we accomplished our goals. And this is a more humanistic way to work it. Connected everything. It becomes dirt cheap and it will influence the business. Let me give you an example out of another industry. My Tesla. I love my Tesla. And it's connected, so on my phone I can see where it is, I can open up the doors, I can make other people get into it and drive away, I can use the climate, etc. It's completely connected. On a little bit more essential scale, when I have a little accident, it basically immediately will call me and saying, you had a big accident, are you okay, do we need to send an ambulance? No? Okay, can you then please leave this car, because this car, particular car, the battery was cracked and in 7 minutes the temperature was going up, in 7 minutes it was burning. And so please get out, the fireman will be here in 20 minutes, and in 30 minutes we'll have your replacement car on the scene and it will basically drive away. That is actually happening now, that's 2016. And then this will be for every car in Europe. Thanks to the European community, especially to you, the English, who love it here, of course. We wish you a lot of success with your referendum. But thanks to rules of the Europe, in 2018, every car will have this functionality by law. And then that also means that every car will be hacked. And all your devices will be hacked. You will have to live with it. If you connect things to the internet, you will be hacked. And then the whole thing is, how do you deal with it? How do you work? If they hack you, what happens to it? This is a nice example. Jeep and Tesla were both hacked at the same time. They got a message from hackers who says, for our conference, we just had some fun and we hacked the Jeep. We can, with your mobile phone application, we can take over your management system, we can accelerate the car, we can stop the car, we can do anything with the car what we want. Please fix it. And the same happened to Tesla. With Tesla, you had to have a laptop, you had to be in the car, you had to connect it to the bus, and then you could hack it. But both were hacked and they could influence and accelerate the car, break the car, do dangerous stuff. How did Jeep react? They sued they immediately called a bunch of lawyers and sued them and says, you will do reputation damage and we will kill you as much as we can. Tesla, and of course they didn't react and they didn't do anything with suing them. In the end, 1.5 million people had to go to the dealership and with a memory stick get their software updated, 1.5 million visits, and that took about 4 months. Tesla said, wow, you hacked our car, fantastic, come to our pizza party on Friday. They had 500 people in the audience, they got a big hand of applause, they got €10,000 as a reward for hacking them, and 3 days later there was an over-the-air update and all the cars were protected against it. We need to learn how to deal with this kind of stuff, otherwise you have a problem. Now, what are we going to connect? Which devices in the industry are going to be connected? I saw a bunch of them here at the show floor, here they are. Real innovation in cleaning is knowing, do we need to clean or not? And that depends how many people walked into the clean room. And this system from Torque EasyCube counts how many people come in, how much of these things are used, how filled up are they, and the moment that they are clean, that they're empty, they scream, please come and empty me. Or if they're filled up, they say, please come by, don't basically fix this. Now, and on the other side we have the dashboard. And we can see exactly, these are real men's room. The 772 people, men, went to the men's room and 953 ladies went to the bathroom. Nobody was in trouble. 9% needed a little bit of, was asked, come up and clean me, and green is 82%. So now I want to know, how long do men stay in the bathroom? How long do women stay in the bathroom? Who cleans? Who cleans their hands? We basically need to go much further. The Internet Connected of Things will make bathroom visits much more interesting and cleaning them a lot easier. And of course also faucets need to be connected. Okay, Ophart makes smart faucets. And of course we already know that if you put something underneath your hand underneath, the water will start. But if I then put my hand on top of it, soap will come out. Soap will come out. You didn't hear that. So water and soap and also they have a version of disinfection. Smart. They're also connected with Bluetooth, so you basically can use it as a counter. And you could, for example, figure out what percentage of people wash their hands. In hospitals, where it's really, really dangerous if they don't do it, it's only 44% washes their hands and 56% doesn't do it. With these kinds of smart faucets, that could be changed, but then the price needs to go down because these things are, almost 800, 900, 1,000 euros. And if smart technology is used into production with large numbers, it can go down to $100 and $200, and that's what we're waiting for too. Basically ask them, we will go and make an example where people come in and we will test how many people wash their hands, how many people use soap, and make a big dashboard and show and see if you walk out of the bathroom and say beep, you didn't do your hands, see how much that how much that changes behavior. Because infections in hospitals are really important. Then also, who is going to win? Who's going to win this war of innovation? Is that going to be the existing people, the market leaders? Because if you look at big machines, already all of them are, have the possibility of being connected. But this is the market leader in Germany and how they're doing it. The Public Prize Innovation Award was made by Kerge, who got 45% of the votes. And what is making them so interesting? They have a whole concept of connected machines, which they're building into all the machines. Some machines get it by default, and we're going to take a look what you can do with a connected machine. Kerge, whatever you pronounce it, has a connective machine concept. If you have machines like this, out of the box they're connected, they have a SIM card, they have GPS, they know exactly where they are, and you have a service which will basically connect everything in the cloud, and you can see, oh, I have all kinds of alerts, this machine started to work too late, this machine is empty, there's all kinds of things you can immediately see on the dashboard. And then if you look forward, you can see how your fleet is doing. Where are they at the moment? How many hours have they worked? How many hours are they out of business? How many meters have they cleaned? So you can get all that information out of it. And connected machines is really something which will work. Now, the navigation is mostly now with GPS. And of course, if you have no light, it doesn't know where it is. And they're working on beacons. Beacons are extremely popular in a lot of places, and it will come to the cleaning world next year because there is now somewhere there's beacon support, but this is how it looks at the moment. So it's a little bit pre-industrial version, and that means that we have indoor navigation. You can see exactly where the machine is, what time he has spent there. That's really useful. This is a developing market. At the moment, a small percentage of the machines are connected, but it's going to be huge. Yeah. And of course, they also come to be robots. Now, this is Kerge. This is the market leader at the moment, just like the Italians. But if you see, for them it's an option. For them it's a little innovation which comes from the side, on the edge. On the other hand, new players will start using that from scratch, and this is a Chinese company. Okay, ICE, International Cleaning Equipment, is an interesting company. They're only 5 years old and started from scratch. It was started by Simon Chen, who basically built Viper, which is also a bunch of these kinds of machines. And these are real innovative. They're innovative first by material, because every machine out of the box has a SIM card, is connected to the internet. You can see exactly how many hours it worked, how well it's working. If there's problems with it, the maintenance can be smart. But it's also business model innovation. You don't pay anymore for the machine, you can pay per month, or you can pay per hour. In the future, you're going to pay per square meters cleaned. And of course, that's what we want. In the end, we want smart data and smart cleaning systems, and we want to pay for something which is clean, and these machines are going to make it work. Okay, connected, smart, etc., business model innovation. But of course, in the end, we want smart machines which will do it themselves. Now, we're completely used to that in some industries. My Tesla is built by 1,600 robots. And if you at home have a garden, of course you have a little robot which basically cleans your, which basically does the grass or cleans your swimming pool. And a vacuum cleaner, of course, which does it automatically. This thing will become huge. Robots will become huge. I'll get to that in a minute. Let's first see how it influences another industry, namely the car industry. Autonomous driving cars is really interesting. Everybody knows the Google example that they're coming with it. But when I came home one day, I had an update with my Tesla over the air. Suddenly it says, I can do some new trick. I can basically drive myself. And it was really interesting. The first time that a robot takes over your car. Let's look at a friend of mine who was in there.
No, the car's watching. It sees, oh my gosh, the car knows exactly where the person ahead of me is in the lane. Because I could see it here on the dash. And, oh, red light. But that was, ooh, that was interesting. It got a really bad taxi really well, which is incredible. And oh my gosh, this is so, I'm not touching it at all, and it's driving. Whoa, whoa, the lanes are getting a little, oh no, there it goes, and it stops. I mean, being here in a Tesla Model S P90,
it's really, when you give over the car, I mean, it takes about half an hour to get used to it. And then afterwards, it's wonderful. It's so wonderful. 1/3 of the people in Europe is basically texting, is doing WhatsApping, is doing everything, you know, while they're driving. And they're extremely dangerous. This car will drive itself, and it's such a wonderful thing. In the next 4 years, every new car will have that feature, and it will be standard. And that's also happening in the cleaning industry. So the #1 robot which got the Innovation Award from the ISSAInterclean in Amsterdam is from our Swiss friends. At the ISSAInterclean, the #1 prize for robots was the RA660 Navy. And here, let me tell you the good and the bad about the one who won the prize. The good thing is it's an autonomous going vehicle which will clean up to 4,000 square meters on the batteries. And it will make it spick and span Swiss quality clean. So that is really wonderful. The bad thing is, or well, they're not supposed to, you need a person. You need a person to fill it. You need a person to maintain it and to keep track of it. So it's not completely autonomous. It needs a human being, but it can do a lot of different things. And also, if you're at home, if you have a vacuum cleaner or if you have a lawnmower, it will go back at the end of the battery, where the batteries are dead, it will go back and charge itself. This one, no. If you want to program it, you cannot use your phone with Bluetooth, what you would expect. No, you need a laptop and connect it and have a little bit of a user interface. So this is the most modern robot there is, but there's a lot of room for improvement, which they will add for the next couple of years. And it's all about software. This company, CleanFix, knows how to make machines which clean, and they can do it autonomous. Now they need to make it smart, and now they need to make it software oriented, beautiful, integrated with your smartphone. And what you will see in terms of innovation, software is the name of the game. If you look at machines like that, there's maybe 5 or 10 people working on hardware. There's 30 or 40 or 50 people working on software. And software, the quality of the software determines how good that machine is actually doing. And that is really interesting because people who make machines normally are not good in software. People who are good in software have a different mentality, have a different culture than in a manufacturing environment. And these two cultures need to clash, and people need to be able to adapt that. Here we saw another robot from Diversey, and they already had one option which I really like. And Sealed Air also has a robot. So this robot basically does about 4,000 square meters, costs about $40,000 US, and also is autonomous. It's also autonomous, and it basically knows if I'm here, and it has a connection to the smartphone. So I think that is really innovative, and yeah, it pays itself back in about 1.5 years compared to a person, an operated person thing. So okay, it is already connected to the smartphone. You can program it. It will report itself. So that was one innovation. And then I discovered that here, this green guy here on the right, is the latest software, the latest robot. It's not on the market. It will be on the market at the end of the year, and it has a couple of other things. Yeah. We have here Artlatus, a German robot, and this is pretty innovative. First, you can program it with your tablet. It has to be an Android tablet, but you can program it and completely configure the room. Secondly, you can operate it manually, and it will record what you do, and then basically also can redo it. In autonomous mode. And thirdly, if it's empty, look here, if it's empty, it will go back to the place, and it has 2 plugs, and it will recharge itself, just like any lawnmower. So that is really innovative. It isn't on the market. It will come at the end of the year, and it will sell for €25,000. and it can do about 3,000 or 4,000 square meters, like we see here in this supermarket, the supermarket variation. So, innovation from Germany, robot cleaner. In summary, I'm going to quit this whole thing about 3D printing. If you see what we basically see in this innovation, there's going to be huge innovation in the smart technology. The robots are accelerating like there's no tomorrow. In the next 5 years, they become extremely efficient. They already have payback time of 1 year. Smart cleaning, knowing what to clean, what is happening with traffic, how can we assist the cleaner, and save on the amount of space we need to clean. That's really important. Clean it smartly, control it, administrate it, control it. There will be a huge amount of development. It's now a really nice innovation. In 3 years, it will be absolutely essential. And in 5 years, if you do not know how to use these modern digital tools, you better find another show to be active in, because that is not going to be competitive anymore. Thank you very much. On vincenteverts.nl, you'll be able to find this presentation, and all the videos will be there. And I'm really very, very grateful that in this extremely hot period in Amsterdam, that you came here and watched my presentation. And if I basically said something wrong, then please speak up, let's discuss it, because I really want to learn about this beautiful industry. But I think that you're on a path to a nice innovation amount, and that will be fun for everybody of you. Thank you very much.